Miss Ina. I hope that you are enjoying our story so far. Miss Frizzle sure is a character, huh? I can't wait to see how our story ends today with The Wild Whale Watch Part 2. Today, we're going to find out how The Wild Whale Watch ends with the Magic School Bus. Chapter 6. Meanwhile, in the bus sub, Captain Gill and Liz were frantically flipping switches on the instrument panel, trying to locate the whale subs. "Bus up to whale subs, come in, all whale subs," Miss Frizzle said over and over into the radio. There was no answer. "Blasted barnacles," moaned Captain Gill. "I hope that nothing bad has happened to the little mateys." "The radios aren't working," Miss Frizzle told him, "but I can see 4 blips on the radar screen. They're all close, except one. It looks like whale 4 was pulled further away from the others. I'm sure they'll be all right, but let's get going. As my second cousin Ishan always says, the early orca catches a squid." She spoke into the radio again. "Calling all mini-subs. I can see you all on the radar screen. If you can hear me, stay where you are. Enjoy the scenery. I'm coming to pick you up." In Whale 1, Carlos and Arnold were staring out the window of their sub. "I knew I should have stayed home today," Arnold said. "Now I'll never get home in time to water my rock collection." "Don't worry, Arnold," Carlos told him. "I'm sure the Frizz will rescue us soon, and look who's there." "I don't believe it," Arnold said. "That whale that just swam by, it was Dandelion." "Right," Carlos said. "I saw the tail markings too. That's definitely the same humpback we saw before." "Oh no, it's opening its mouth," Arnold said. "It's huge." "It looks like a soup bowl," Carlos said, "but big enough to hold a car." As Dandelion came near to the sub, it opened its mouth even wider. We're going to be lunch, Arnold moaned. Just then, Arnold and Carlos watched as Dandelion swam past them into a mass of tiny fish and plankton. When Dandelion's bowl was filled, the whale closed its mouth. Then water came rushing out of the sides, nearly sending the mini-sub into another wild spin. "It's a good thing we weren't any closer," Arnold said. "We were almost part of Dandelion's dinner." Dandelion swam away just as the bus sub pulled up alongside Whale 1. Miss Frizzle opened the door to the docking platform and Carlos steered the mini-sub inside. "Ahoy, mateys!" cried Captain Gill as Arnold and Carlos came into the cabin. "You won't believe how much a humpback can eat, Captain Gill," said Arnold. "Humpbacks eat a lot when they're up here in their feeding grounds," the captain explained. "They store up food for the winter, then they make a long journey south. They may not get to eat again for months." "Where are the other kids?" asked Carlos. "Have no fear, Carlos," said the Frizz. "We're on our way to Whale 2. Don't you know that you kids are always on my radar screen? Liz, set the controls. We're off to pick up Keisha and Ralphie." Chapter 7. Keisha and Ralphie had drifted close to a giant log. "What's that giant log doing in the middle of the ocean?" Keisha asked. Suddenly the log turned over. It was now tilted in the water, tail overhead. "That's no log," Keisha said. "It's a huge humpback." Then a string of loud moans, squeals, and groans started to come from the direction of the whale. The sounds were so loud that the water around the sub started to vibrate. "Why is that whale yelling at us?" Ralphie asked, putting his hands over his ears. "I don't think it likes having us around." "These sounds are spooky, but they're pretty cool," Keisha said. "It's almost kind of like music." The sounds went on for a few minutes, then stopped, then started again. "It's repeating the song," Keisha exclaimed. "Okay, Keisha, try not to get Flipper out," Ralphie joked. Just then, Miss Frizzle arrived in the bus sub. Keisha and Ralphie joined the others in the cabin. "The humpback song is enchanting," the Frizz said, pausing to take the sounds, "but we'd best be on our way. There are 2 more whale subs out there waiting to be rescued." While the other whale subs were being rescued, Tim and I were floating along in the middle of the school of tuna. "I wish I knew where we are," I said, worried. "Miss Frizzle's got it under control," Tim said, but he sounded concerned too. "Those fish are staring at us," I said. "It feels creepy, like being goldfish in a bowl." "It's weird that they're looking at us," Tim agreed. "At least we can get out sooner or later. A goldfish has to stay in a bowl all its life." "We hope we'll get out," I said. I was trying to stay cool, but it was hard just to sit and watch the fish watch us. We kept trying the radio, but it was completely dead. We were stranded. In Whale 3, DA was checking to see if she had brought along her textbook on radio communication. "It's no use, I still can't get the frizz on the radio," she said. Even though they were worried, Phoebe couldn't help having fun watching a humpback mother and her baby. Phoebe and DA had named them Maisie and Freckles. "Freckles is so playful," Phoebe said. "Look how she keeps tossing that bunch of seaweed with her head." "The seaweed landed on the calf's snout," DA and Phoebe laughed. "Freckles seems to like her seaweed mustache," DA said. Freckles did not swim far from Maisie. Every now and then she would dive under her mother and take a drink of milk. The two whales swam up to the surface to breathe and then dove back down with Freckles on Maisie's back. When Maisie swam upward, Freckles slid down her tail. They played this sliding game over and over. The humpbacks swam away quickly when they heard a noise coming closer. "It's the bus sub," called DA. "Miss Frizzle to the rescue. I knew she'd find us." "I can't wait to tell her about Freckles," said Phoebe. Captain Gill greeted Phoebe and DA with open arms and a big smile. "Welcome aboard, you brave little skippers," he said. "We weren't afraid, Captain Gill. Not much, anyhow," DA said, patting Liz on the head. DA told everyone about watching the calf and its mother. "One thing I don't understand, though, how can a whale not drown if it's born underwater?" "Good question, matey," said the captain. "Nature thinks of everything. For one thing, the birth takes place near the surface. Also, the baby comes out of its mother's body tail first, not head first like a human. As soon as the baby is born, its mother pushes it up to the surface for its first breath. The calf is born knowing not to breathe until the blowhole is out of the water." "We call that instinct," Miss Frizzle added. "Instinct is something you know without being taught." DA laughed. "Tim is always saying I have an instinct for science," she said. Then she looked around. "Where are Tim and Wanda anyway?" "We're on our way to pick them up now. They're right here," Miss Frizzle said, pointing toward the radar screen. "That's funny," she said. "I don't think she means ha-ha funny," said Arnold. "Whale 4 has disappeared from the radar screen," she told us. Chapter 8. "I'm getting hungry," Tim said. "I wonder if there's anything to eat in the emergency supplies." It was just like Tim to think of food at a time like this. Suddenly, we heard a terrible slapping noise, and our whale sub started rocking back and forth. "Oh, this is bad," I said. "Tim, what is that sound?" Tim was quickly flipping through pages in Captain Gill's handbook. When the book flew out of his hands, the sub was still rocking and everything was falling out of the compartments of the sub. Tim and I rummaged around the sub, trying to put things back in place. Nets, life jackets, and flashlights had fallen on top of us. "Yum, good granola bars," said Tim, popping a big chunk of granola onto his mouth. "Tim, how can you eat at a time like this? We have to do something." Tim finally found the page he was searching for in Captain Gill's handbook. He looked up with a strange expression on his face. "The good news is that I think there's a whale out there who's lobtailing. It's slapping its tail against the water overhead over again, probably as a way to communicate with its pod. The bad news is it could go on for a long time, and we'll keep rocking." Suddenly, I noticed water pouring onto the bottom of the sub. "Tim, we don't have a long time. Water!" I grabbed the pail from under my seat. That's when I noticed something I haven't seen before. There was a button on the control panel with some black letters on it. They read, Sir C. "Sir C?" I said. "What does that mean?" "Maybe it's some kind of boat word," Tim guessed. "I've never heard of it." He leaned over to get a closer look. "Wait a minute," he said. "There's no space between R and the C. Hey, the black paint on a couple of the letters got rubbed off. I can just make out the shape of the letters. F and A. Surface," I spelled out. "Surface," Tim said. We looked at each other. "This is a mini submarine," I said. "Submarines can go up to the surface of the water. If we push this button, we'll go up," we both said together. "Do you want to try it?" Tim asked me. I wasn't sure it was a good idea. On the other hand, the water was up past our ankles, and it was getting higher. What if Miss Frizzle couldn't find us quickly enough? We had to do something fast. "Okay," I said, "do it." I held my breath as Tim pushed a button. The whale sub rose slowly. The water got clearer and brighter as we moved closer to the surface. Then we were there. The ocean waters sparkled in the sunlight. We blinked to get used to the brightness. Even if Miss Frizzle can't find us for some reason, maybe a boat or a plane will come by. We'll be okay, Wanda, Tim said. We looked out over the ocean with our binoculars. I see something, Tim, I called. Some dark bumps in the water, maybe islands? Not unless islands move, Tim said. Those bumps seem to be floating towards us. In the next instant, the bumps exploded into the air. Whales! We cried. 5 or 6 whales were breaching. One by one, they leapt up and came splashing down. We could see that they had black, tubby bodies with large paddle-shaped flippers and no dorsal fin. They all had patches of thickened skin on their heads. Tim checked Captain Gill's handbook. Those are right whales, Tim exclaimed. They are the rarest of all great whales. What makes them so rare? I asked. The handbook says that whale hunters in olden times killed so many that right whales were nearly wiped out of existence. Whale experts think there are fewer than 500 living in the northern Atlantic, and we're looking at some right now. Wait until we tell Captain Gill about this. The whales stopped breaching. Most of them disappeared underwater. Look, Tim called out. One of the whales is turning around. Oh no, it's coming right at us, I said. The huge head was scary. I could hardly watch. This could be the wrong whale for me, I whispered. What if it crashes into us? I watched as the whale swam once around our sub. Then it lifted one of its big flippers and swam off. I sighed with relief, but the next second it came back. It waved its flipper again. It's hard to believe, I said, but I think that whale wants us to follow it. This could be interesting, Tim said. Okay, let's go. The whale moved slowly but steadily along, never too fast for our sub. Sometimes it held its tail up high like a sail in a boat. That whale is smart, I said. It's letting the breeze do all the work. Watching the right whale sail calmly through the ocean, I forgot to worry about the trouble we were in. Then all of a sudden, a line appeared on the horizon. Land! I called out. The whale is leading us home. How cool is that? He really is the right whale after all. Suddenly, we heard a noise behind us. A sleek speedboat came gliding along. It looked something like our magic school bus. A man on the deck and a small green lizard were waving their arms. Captain Gill! Liz! Ahoy there, mateys! He called out. We got here as fast as we could. How do you like the new boat? Soon Tim and I were on board the speedboat. Miss Frizzle came out on the deck. She was glad to see that Tim and I were all right. We had a hard time finding you two, she said, but it looks like you were heading the right way towards land. How did you know which direction to go? After Wanda got us to the surface, Tim said. We had some help from a friend, I finished, a large one with flippers. It wasn't just a fluke, Tim grinned. At that moment, our right whale turned back and swam once around the speedboat. Then it dove, lifting its flukes high in the air as if to wave goodbye. Goodbye, I called. Thanks for the help. Then the whale was gone and we were on our way home. This was a wonderful field trip, I told Miss Frizzle. I never knew a right whale would make me see how wrong I was about whales. Chapter 9. When we walked into the classroom the next day, we got another Frizzle surprise. One bulletin board was filled with photos of whales with names such as Scooter, Tiny Tim, Skyrocket, and Angel. A banner read, Help the Giants of the Sea, sponsor a whale. Miss Frizzle clapped her hands to get our attention. Attention, class, she said. I have important news. We are about to get a new classmate. We looked at one another. Is it a boy or a girl? Phoebe asked. It could be either, Miss Frizzle said. You get to choose. We're going to help take care of a whale. Excuse me, Miss Frizzle, I said, but I don't think a whale will fit in the classroom or even the gym. Miss Frizzle laughed. Our whale is going to stay in the ocean where it belongs, she said. Then she explained what it was all about. First, we need to raise money to pay the sponsorship fee. I thought we could sell our shell and rock collection that we picked up at the end of the whale watch. Liz held a seashell close to her heart. It's okay, Liz, we don't have to sell that one, the Frizz said. Our sponsorship fee, she continued, will go to a research organization that studies whales and works to protect them from human-made dangers, such as water pollution and illegal hunting. We get a photo of our whale and news reports about where the whale has been seen and what it's been up to. Can we choose one of these whales? D.A. asked, pointing to the bulletin board. That's the idea, Miss Frizzle said. These whales have been named by the research scientists. They can tell the whales apart by their coloring, scars, special markings, or the pattern of growths on their bodies, such as the callosities on a right whale's head. We studied the bulletin board. Which one of these whales would we choose to join our classroom? Scooter was a male humpback, Tiny Tim was a huge male blue whale, Skyrocket was a female orca, and Angel was a female right whale. There were others to choose from: humpbacks, fin whales, a couple of white beluga whales that lived in waters off Canada, and all kinds of dolphins. I think we should get Scooter, D.A. said. He could sing to us. No, it should be Tiny Tim, Ralphie said. He's the biggest. Then I spoke up. I choose Angel, I said. After all, it was a right whale that helped Tim and me. Right on, Wanda, Tim said. I choose Angel too. Me too, Carlos said. It seems like the right thing to do. You've got that right, Phoebe added. When you're right, D.A. said. I changed my vote. Well, it looks like Angel is the right whale for us, Miss Frizzle said. Everyone say hello to the newest member of our class. The end. I really hope you guys enjoyed the story of the Wild Whale Watch. Tomorrow, we will be reading a Dr. Seuss story called If I Ran the Zoo. I'm really looking forward to it.